us make pumpkin spice syrup. I made 2 or 3 jars, I don't remember, but I used this in spice chai, pumpkin spice lattes, a couple desserts. I think I did a breakfast muffin and then like a pumpkin spice dessert. But we have our water, light brown and regular cane sugar, and then we have cinnamon sticks. I used that when I was cooking the tea. And then we have cinnamon, allspice, nutmeg, clove, salt, and then our can of pumpkin puree. So first I started off by boiling the water. And this whole process probably took me like 30 minutes or so. But we're going to get the water up to a rolling boil. It has to be to a rolling boil so we can make the tea. Alright, so we're putting in the sugar. I kind of did like a simple syrup kind of situation and then infused the cinnamon sticks in, like, or vice versa. Yeah, I made the simple syrup first and then I put the cinnamon sticks in there. Yeah. But in order to get to the simple syrup stage, you gotta dissolve all that sugar first. So you'll spend some time mixing. But ultimately, I want to try a couple of other flavors. Some of them inspired by the Starbucks menu, and then some others that I found online. So I might explore that with you guys later. So now the cinnamon sticks are going to steep in there, and then we have all of our seasonings. I'm going to attempt, because it was a struggle, I'm using one hand. I'm going to attempt to measure out the different seasonings for the spiced part. Now, one thing is, when I went back to taste it, I added a tad bit more of everything, like maybe 1/4 of that spoon more of each. It didn't really require much more salt, but you can go based on your preference. And then once that syrup gets to a point where it's kind of coating the spoon, I'll start to add in the seasoning. So mixing. Everything is cohesive. I just tasted it really quick, and I'll add the additional that I spoke about off camera. So I only use 1 can of pumpkin puree. If I decided to make a larger batch, I'll probably do like 2 or 3, so I can have 4 to 6 cans. The 2 cans I did have, they lasted for some time. For like a regular 16-ounce drink, I think you'll probably use like 2 to 3 spoons depending on how much of the flavor you really want. So I think it may be best to make a couple extra more cans, just to have it on hand. And it does last in the refrigerator for some time. So now I'm dissolving the puree into the simple syrup. A small batch like I did, the whole can of puree is necessary. And then that is me adding the additional seasoning. course because I added the whole can, but I feel like it needed to match the intensity of the pumpkin flavor, so just a little more seasoning. But you're gonna mix that thoroughly, make sure there's no lumps or any dry seasoning, and then you're just gonna let it cook until it starts to coat that spoon, and you'll see the texture is a little more smooth, but at one point you'll see that it stays on the spoon. And then also there's that film that kind of shows that it's cooking and it's getting closer to being done. It's kind of sticking. And now you'll see it's getting way thicker, sticking to the spoon for sure. It's reduced down significantly, so it's definitely getting to a point. Okay, so it reduced down by like a third. And then you can actually see that it's a full syrup. So that is the finished product. I just added it onto this pumpkin spice latte. I put maybe like 3 spoons in the bottom of that. And that's probably like a 20-ounce cup. But it is a great consistency. It was very flavorful. And I would do it again. Probably come back with a couple more recipes for some different syrups I want to try. But if you like the video, you can like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Love you guys.